And we start with a live look outside tonight as we head into a weather impact alert day.
And you can see the rain coming in, and we are expecting to get a whole lot of it for tomorrow. And thank you for joining us on WGRZ Plus tonight. We are exclusively streaming here because the NBA is back on NBC. Good evening, I'm Scott Levin.
And I'm Mary Alice Demler. We want to get right over to Storm Team 2 meteorologist Dan Russell, who is tracking this impact alert day closely. Dan, it is the other kind of lake effect on its way, right?
Yeah, you know, we talk about lake effect snow all the time. We talk about lake effect sunshine. How about some lake effect rain? And that's what we are already beginning to track. We've already had a little taste of that weather impact alert with some heavy rain already making its way in and around the Buffalo metro. Even a little bit of small hail, reports of some pea-sized hail out of some of the heavier rain showers in and around Lockport. Had some pretty good thunder and lightning a little bit ago. Now, some of this activity has weakened a bit, so not as much thunder and lightning, but still can't rule it out. In fact, just offshore of Dunkirk, a pretty nasty little cell. And again, all this is going to continue to lift to the north and east, all associated with this big pocket of chilly air. Look at this massive spin in the atmosphere. This is what's going to continue to drift overhead and continue to pull in that chilly air across Lake Erie. And yeah, there it is. There's that lake effects machine already firing up. And that's the rain we're going to be tracking at times over the next couple of days. So as far as the weather impact alert, again, it's tonight through tomorrow for Buffalo, and then shifting more south into the southern tier here on Thursday. We're going to be dealing with, again, lake effect rain, heavy at times, even a little bit of small hail. So as far as any kind of planning, you want to make sure any drains in your area are cleaned out from any leaves. Watch out for ponding on the roadways, and definitely extra travel time to any commutes, whether it's tomorrow morning or tomorrow evening. And of course, we'll talk more about that in much more detail. Also look at the weekend in just a little bit. Scott Mariels.
Danny, thank you. And tonight, the community is coming together to celebrate the life of 31-year-old Carlos Rodriguez. He was killed early Sunday morning in a crash on Buffalo's east side.
2 on your side's Chelsea Swift was at that vigil tonight. She joined us in the studio after speaking with Carlos's family. Chelsea?
Scott and Mary Alice, I spoke with 3 generations of the Rodriguez family tonight, and they say Carlos's legacy will live on in the city of Buffalo as dozens of people showed up to celebrate him tonight. The community gathering on Broadway Avenue near Wick Street to pay tribute to Carlos Rodriguez, who was fatally hit by a car early Sunday morning. Dozens of people arriving with candles and balloons, sharing memories of Carlos. We hear from 3 generations of the Rodriguez family.
I want my father, he was a good father to me. I just want him to know how much he was loved, how much he's going to be missed, and how much we're going to keep him alive.
How much he was loved by the community, how many friends he got, you know. I mean, he was such a goofy guy that everybody loved him.
The driver involved has been identified as 23-year-old Danielle Davis. According to Buffalo police, Davis was allegedly driving drunk when the accident took place. At the vigil on Tuesday, family members and friends wore Bills gear. Rodriguez Sr. says it's what his son would have wanted.
He was the #1 Bills fan, you know, so he loved so much those Bills. I mean, he's so disappointed he couldn't see them win the Super Bowl. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be cheering from up heaven.
According to the Erie County DA's office, Davis was arraigned on Monday and is due in court for a felony hearing on Thursday. On your side, Chelsea Swift, Channel 2 News.
Chelsea, thank you. Also new tonight at 11, the Tonawanda Seneca Nation and Sierra Club are calling it a victory tonight. This after the Genesee County Economic Development Center pulled approvals for a massive data center that was planned at the Stamp site in Alabama, New York. The groups say the project violated environmental rules and that rescinding those approvals is a big win for protecting local land and wildlife, where the proposed property would border both the Seneca Nation territory and wildlife reserves. The developer hasn't purchased the property, meaning any future plans would need to start the review process all over again.
The battle over bonds in the city of Buffalo continues as the comptroller now says she's going to appeal last month's court order.
And that order directed the city comptroller to go to the bond market in order to fund capital budget projects. 20 Side's Nate Benson has the story for us tonight. Nate?
Yeah, good evening, Scott and Mary Alice. If this bond issue was a pro wrestling storyline, we would definitely be building towards a steel cage match at Survivor Series. All right, one more time to catch you all up. Last December, the Common Council passed a $110 million capital budget. Some of that included funds for Buffalo Public Schools. The rest was for city projects. That budget, however, surpassed Comptroller Barbara Miller-Williams' $28 million bond cap. Months went by, and the comptroller didn't go to the bond market. Acting Mayor Scanlon and Councilmember Nowakowski sued the comptroller in September over the kerfuffle, and on September 24th, a judge ruled that the comptroller failed in her duties, that the bond cap was nothing more than a recommendation, and ordered her to go to the bond market. That brings us to Tuesday afternoon when the comptroller announced,
I am appealing the recent court decision.
Despite Judge Emilio Koliakovo saying otherwise, the comptroller maintains that language in the city charter does not require her to go to the bond market when the council passes a capital budget.
And I'm not an attorney, so I had to defer to my attorney. He felt that if we take it to the next level, there is a strong possibility that it could be overturned because there is nothing in the charter that says I must do it. This is historical in nature. It has never happened in the history of Buffalo.
And the comptroller had a clear message.
This appeal is not about politics or personal disagreements.
You've been in politics a long time. Do you buy that? I mean, this seems bigger than just a budget issue.
No, I think it's ego. I do. I think the comptroller set a cap at $28 million. We passed a $110 million spending plan, and she doesn't want to be told what to do. I think that's what's going on here.
I don't know if it's just a simple disagreement where it hurts to lose. I don't know if this is to test waters for a future administration.
Judge Koliakovo's ruling is being considered quite strong amongst legal experts we spoke to on background, and any type of appeal would need to overcome that strong ruling. In order to win an appeal, you need to prove that your rights as the comptroller are being violated by Judge Koliakovo's ruling. So how are your rights as comptroller being violated by the judge's ruling?
I'm not an attorney, so I can't respond to that.
Is your attorney here?
My attorney is not here present today.
The legal costs for the first round of litigation was under $20,000. However, Acting Mayor Scanlon warns that the long-term impacts to the city will be in the millions.
I want to be very clear about it, is the millions and tens of millions of dollars that these projects are going to cost, in addition to what they originally would have if we were able to get them online this year. We're talking about projects that might have cost $48 million next year. Now we're being told could cost somewhere upwards of $55 or $60 million. And every day that goes by, these projects cost more and more money.
I think that the voters now know that it's one person not coming into work and actually functioning with the rest of her colleagues, and the only word of functioning is to sue us in court and to have this litigated and not come to a table with the facts that are before us that we could work out. It's really a sad day in the city of Buffalo.
According to the comptroller's office, it is expected that her legal team will file that appeal sometime on Wednesday. On your side, Nate Benson, Channel 2 News.
All right, Nate, thanks. Also, we have an update tonight. South Park High School is going to be back open for classes tomorrow. It was closed today due to what Buffalo Public Schools called an unexpected water main break that affected the school's water supply. The district says all repairs have now been completed.
The federal government shutdown is now in its 21st day, and as it drags on, millions of Americans could lose access to crucial food assistance programs in just a few weeks. 2 on your side's Alyssa Clausell tells us how lawmakers are responding and how local food pantries are preparing for the potential impact.
Mary Alice, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, around 40 million Americans rely on SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. But they warn that if this government shutdown continues, those who rely on SNAP will go without it.
Thank you.
Perfect. For Sonia Rogers, this food pantry is a lifeline.
Thanks to the church, I have a turkey.
Sonia is one of nearly 3 million New Yorkers who rely on SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which helps low-income individuals and families buy groceries each month.
I get $2.92 in food stamps, but it doesn't last all month because food has been raised by such a high price. You know, it lasts, that $2.91 lasts about 20 days, and the rest I get from here.
But as the government shutdown reaches day 21, funding for SNAP is wearing thin. In a notice from the Trump administration, the USDA warns that if the shutdown continues,
There won't be enough money to cover SNAP benefits for 42 million Americans starting November 1st.
We are already busy. We are already not having enough supplies on our shelves. And so now this is driving more people here.
Miranda Pinelli is the program and volunteer manager at Felician Community Services. She says they're already seeing about 1,200 people a month, and a freeze in SNAP benefits could push those numbers even higher.
Our numbers are going up each month. Last month was the highest that we've seen since I've been here in over a year and a half. It's just a steady increase upwards.
It's a trend Feed More Western New York is seeing too.
Over the last 3 years, a 46% increase in the number of people receiving nutritional assistance from Feed More.
But while the need is rising, the funding is falling. The food bank is projecting a loss of $3.5 million in federal support due to cuts and program eliminations. But still, Feed More and Felician are bracing for impact.
We're expecting that there will be an possible increase in the number of people, especially if SNAP dollars are frozen.
WIC, a nutrition program for pregnant women, new mothers, and children, was also set to run out of money earlier this month. But the Trump administration used $300 million in tariff revenue to keep it afloat. It's unclear if the same plan is set in place for SNAP. On your side, Alyssa Clausel, Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Alyssa. And a long-time effort to bring a playground back to Buffalo's Old First Ward is once again at a standstill. Resident Jacqueline Skinner says that the Sidway Playground was torn down back in the 1990s, and her community has been fighting ever since to rebuild it. Back in 2019, she helped gather 800 signatures and raised nearly $400,000 in grants and donations to make it happen.
The board members were not on board to build the playground. I was the last board member left that had kids in the community. I was the only one born and raised in the community, so I always felt misrepresented. And so when they voted down on the playground, I said, that's fine, but just make sure that the funds can be released.
Skinner also says that leadership changes and disputes over funding have delayed the project.
Construction is underway on a new state-of-the-art commissary kitchen to be used for making breakfast and lunch for Buffalo Public School students. McGuire Development is leading the project with the district and community partners. The 61,000 square foot facility at William L. Gator Parkway and East Delavan will feature a large production kitchen, community space, and a training area, all aimed at providing students with fresher, healthier meals. Work is expected to be finished by the spring of 2027.
Also tonight, Buffalo is shining a bright light on after-school programs. The Police Athletic League of Buffalo is teaming up with city leaders and the Bills to celebrate the Lights On After School initiative at the Makowski Early Childhood Center. This program highlights the importance of after-school programs and literacy across the city, which is part of the acting mayor's Reading All-Stars campaign.
Thank you for giving us the ability to be out here and to spread our love, spread our peace, and spread our knowledge with every individual in this room and in this school and all over the world. It means so much to impact these kids because these kids are our future. And it starts in their mind, it starts in their body, it starts in their soul.
And celebrations continue Thursday at 6 community centers across the city with games, activities, and literacy programs for families. President Trump made headlines claiming Tylenol during pregnancy could raise autism risk. Now, Tylenol making moves to fight back. Those details coming up.
This month, Friends of Night People are on a mission to keep the homeless warm. Find out how you can help during Socktober.
Well, Kenvue, the American company that produces Tylenol, is pushing back on proposed changes to the product's safety label now to reflect research about a possible connection between its use in pregnancy and diagnosis of autism or even ADHD in our children.
Now, the company says that acetaminophen, or a common pain or fever treatment, is, quote, one of the most studied medicines in history. Reporter Ivan Rodriguez has the latest on what parents need to know.
The current Tylenol label instructs women who are pregnant or breastfeeding to ask a health professional before use. The push for a label change came after President Trump, during a news conference, urged pregnant women who are in pain to try to tough it out instead of taking Tylenol. Last month, President Trump claimed without evidence that Tylenol use during pregnancy was linked to a, quote, very increased risk of autism.
You know, I'm just making these statements from me.
Since then, the FDA responded to physicians saying that the choice to take acetaminophen still belongs with parents, but that the use during pregnancy may cause an increased risk of neurological conditions such as autism and ADHD in children. However, the letter also noted that a causal relationship has not been established and that studies about a link are contradictory.
Anytime a different voice is added to the conversation, it causes a bit of confusion, especially if the messaging is completely different.
Dr. Brian Lee, professor of epidemiology and biostatistics at Drexel University, says while there is no debate that rates of autism diagnoses are increasing, his study published last year in the Journal of American Medical Association found that there was no increase in risk of autism or ADHD associated with acetaminophen use.
Acetaminophen remains the safest alternative for pain relief medication, and it's unclear what exactly would replace that.
The Informed Consent Action Network, an anti-vaccine nonprofit with close ties to HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., filed a citizens petition asking the FDA to add a more detailed warning to OTC drug products that contain acetaminophen. Kenvue asked the FDA to deny the petition, saying the suggested label changes are unsupported by scientific evidence. The FDA website on acetaminophen has not changed to reflect the Trump administration's views. It says it was last updated in August and specifies FDA has not found clear evidence that appropriate use of acetaminophen during pregnancy causes adverse pregnancy, birth, neurobehavioral, or developmental outcomes. In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
Friends of Night People are calling this month Socktober. They're collecting sock donations all month long to help the homeless stay warm all winter. Organizers say that socks are the most requested but least donated items at shelters. You can drop off new socks at their Hudson Street location or save the trip and shop their Amazon wish list.
Yep, they always need socks.
That's right. And you know what? Tomorrow, rain boots wouldn't be a bad idea.
That's right. An umbrella, a slicker, whatever you need, because it is raining pretty heavy out there now. And Dan, there's also some light hail out there as well, right?
Yeah, a little bit of small hail with some of these heavier rain showers. And at times over the next couple of days, there's the potential you might notice some small hail again, especially when we have some of these heavier downpours. When you get this cold air aloft in the atmosphere, bring that potential. And you can see that pocket of cold air. You see this big spin in the atmosphere? That is an upper level low. That's cold air sitting about 30,000 feet up. And it's that cold air that is now sitting over the Great Lakes. And you can see it here on Lake Michigan. All these little feeder bands, that's the lake effect machine producing lake effect rain across lower Michigan, and Lake Erie here is now getting into the action. We had a cold front that swung in a little bit ago. That gave us some of those heavier showers and some of that small hail. And now the temperatures are cooling into and down to the 40s. That lake effect machine is just beginning to get going. Tomorrow's just going to be one of those days. It's going to be tough to get out of bed. Here's Future Lake showing it to you. Here we are at 5 a.m. and there's that classic kind of lake effect plume here, that signature. So including in and around the Buffalo Metro, through the South Towns, the Lake Erie shoreline, the 90. We're going to be picking up moderate to at times heavy rain. That's why we have that weather impact alert, certainly extra travel time, but also, again, it's that time of year where there's a lot of leaves that have kind of dropped, especially over just the last week or so. So if you have any drains that traditionally kind of clog up, you definitely want to make sure they're clear, especially with the amount of rain that we're going to be tracking here over about the next 48 hours. Now, throughout the day tomorrow, the lake effect band will kind of ebb and flow, drifting south. Here we are at 10:30, so we might get a little break in the action in and around Buffalo mid to late morning. but then it moves right back in as we get towards lunchtime. And for the evening commute, the ban likely right over the Buffalo Metro. So again, both commutes tomorrow certainly going to be slower than we typically see. And then by Thursday, this is when winds are going to shift a little bit more out of the west-northwest. And that's going to push most of the lake effect down into the southern tier as we go through Thursday. We'll still have a few scattered showers in and around Buffalo, but a lot more dry time in the mix. Buffalo points north. Lake showers, though, will continue into the southern tier. And so we've continued the weather impact alert just for the southern tier here on Thursday. Now, by the time we get to Friday, we'll still have some spotty showers around, but they won't be as heavy and as numerous. And you can see the radar relatively kind of drying up a bit here by Friday morning. Just a couple lingering showers towards the southern tier. So we're not completely dried out here on Friday. There'll still be at least a couple of spotty showers, but that's the trend with really nothing more than an odd sprinkle by the time Saturday does roll in. So the weekend, I know the next couple of days are going to be quite wet, but by the weekend, we will begin to dry things up for you for any of those outdoor activities. And again, this is just the amount of rain. We needed this kind of rain. This is just the amount of rain we're expecting by the end of the day tomorrow. And you could see some could see anywhere from an inch to even upwards of 1.5 inches where some of this heavier rain does persist. Notice you get away from the lake effect areas. I do want to mention this. You get up towards, say, Medina and Orleans County, Albion, Batavia, and also portions of the southern tier. Notice we even got a couple of goose eggs, so it's not everywhere, but it is, again, Buffalo points south where we will have that heavy lake effect rain and that weather impact alert issued for tomorrow. Temperatures only around 50. Thursday, it's still blustery and chilly, but lake showers now mainly into the southern tier because that wind direction will be a little bit more out of the north. Highs once again only around 50. Still a couple lingering showers here on Friday. We're still chilly, still only around 50, but improving into the weekend. Saturday, low to mid 50s with lots of sunshine on Sunday. And that's the weather at least early next week. Could see some changes as we get closer to Halloween. Of course, we'll keep you posted on that as we get closer. Now it's time for Look at Sports with John Scott.
Thanks a lot, Dan. We're gearing up for the return to practice for Max Hairston tomorrow. Bobby Babbich's thoughts on when the rookie might fully return to play. Plus, my thoughts on the Sabres goalie situation with UPL inching closer to return from injury. Sports is next.
This is the Two on Your Side Precision Garage Door Sports Desk.
Bills back on the practice field after the bye week tomorrow afternoon. We'll hear from Sean McDermott around noon, and then Josh Allen after practice, probably in the 230 range. The number one thing we'll be talking about and watching will be the return of that guy, Max Hairston, to the practice field. Bills opening the cornerback's 21-day practice window yesterday, so Hairston has up to 3 weeks to ramp up before a decision is made on whether or not he'll be activated off injured reserve. I think he's going to be ultimately. As you can see, he has been working with the training staff off to the side for weeks. Expect a slow build at practice, though, as the rookie's been out with a knee injury since very early in training camp.
It's been a long time since he's played, and we'll find that best time to where we feel like we could potentially incorporate him back into and what that time looks like. I know he's done some good things, and as far as coming back and working back, and looking forward to getting him back out there.
Don't sleep on Hairston's need to catch up on the mental side of things, too. He definitely had rookie moments even before the injury. I'd be shocked if we see him active and playing Sunday in Carolina. Sabres back in action tomorrow night when they host the Red Wings at 7:30. Take note, 7:30. They'll be entering that home affair off a loss in Montreal. Still encouraging signs even in defeat, and I'd say that continues to really be focused in at the net position with Alex Lyon. And I mentioned Lyon because the Sabres sending Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen into the Amherst today on a conditioning assignment. Rochester, 3 games this week, so plenty of opportunity for Luukkonen to get back into the swing of things. He missed the start of training camp with a lower body injury, then UPL leaving his preseason debut 3 weeks ago with a different lower body injury and has been out since. Whenever he's healthy and back with the Sabres, I think Luukkonen should take a back seat to Lyon. This team in no position to mess around with the good mojo Lyon has right now. Between the pipes, sprinkle UPL in to give Lyon a night off here and there, but ride that hot hand until it cools. And I think we're going to fit in some of this Sabres talk once again on this week's Sports Talk Live Plus. Jonathan Acosta joining me in relief, while our Vic Carucci going into another Hall of Fame this weekend. We'll get into the Bills' upcoming matchup against the Panthers. Then our Paul Hamilton will be in studio with thoughts on where he sees the Sabres now after playing better through things after a tough start. Sports Talk Live Plus streaming live right here on WGRZ Plus Thursday at 7:30. You can also catch it on demand here on the app afterwards. Download on your TV and watch for free. Bandits' quest for a four-peat will begin on time. The NLL and Players Association coming to an agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement that will run through the 2029-2030 season. Now free agency can begin with training camps opening up at the end of the month. Bandits will raise their latest championship banner inside KeyBank Center Saturday, November 29th. That's a look at sports. We'll be right back.
Finally tonight, since 1975, the Nikon Small World competition has been an annual showcase for a very unique brand of visual artist. Photomicrography